First story. I cut ties with my family after my golden sister proposed to my boyfriend, and my entitled parents supported her, now that she is marrying. She still sent her naked pictures to my now husband as last confession. He sent those pictures to her fiancé. Sorry for the confusing title. I didn't know how to word it any other way. I 24F have been married to my husband 27M for about 2 years. My sister 26F and her husband 26M are high school sweethearts. My sister and I have always been close. Despite the small age gap, she acted like my second mother, so I never doubted her about anything. Let's call her Jane. My husband, let's call him Bob, and I met at university. I was 20, and he was 23. He excelled in both academics, sports, and looks, and was well known around campus because of that, so obviously, I had a crush on him. Jane also attended the same university. Because I was new, she included me in her big circle of friends, and he was a part of that. I never made a move because I respected Jane and her friends. I didn't want to cause any trouble or make things awkward. She meant the world to me. Eventually, though, Bob and I became close friends. I grew to like him more. I also noticed that Jane rarely interacted with him, which was odd considering she was close to almost everyone in her circle, but I never said anything. I did end up telling her I liked him, though. She told me not to get my hopes up because he wasn't interested in any relationships. I was crushed, but I tried to see him as a friend. He ended up confessing to me on my 21st birthday, and we began dating, which obviously resulted in marriage, and here we are now. During the entire time we were dating, Jane started to distance herself from me. We did have a talk about it when Bob and I first started dating, and I told her I'd break up with him if she wasn't comfortable with it considering he's her friend, but she rejected the idea. She hugged me and said she was happy for me, so I took her words for it. She still distanced herself, though. Her husband-boyfriend at the time, we'll call him Jim. He didn't attend university, but his dad has a small construction business that he works at. Jim's a good man. He did everything for Jane, but due to our culture, women can't leave the family house until marriage, so Jane and I still lived with our parents then. So when Jim had saved up enough money to buy a house, he proposed to Jane, and she said yes. Fast forward a year, and Bob proposed. I said yes. Up until now, all Jane had done was distance herself from me. But when I sat my family down and told them the news, she cried. I thought she was crying from happiness until my mom told me I should have taken my sister's feelings into consideration before telling them. It was odd. It seemed like no one was happy. My mom took Jane to her room, but my dad stayed. He told me that Jane was having a hard time with Jim. I believed them. Since then, Jane has distanced herself more from me. When I tried speaking to her, she'd reply curtly, and when I brought it up with my mom, she said that she's going through a hard time, so I shouldn't make it worse. So I left her alone. That was until Bob confessed that Jane had been texting him consistently for the past few weeks. He showed me the texts. She'd ask if she could call or meet him. She'd also attempt to text him late at night. The last one was when she sent him photos of her in revealing dresses and asked him to choose the prettiest. That's when he decided to tell me about it. Before anyone says anything, no, Bob didn't lead her on. His texts were dry, and frankly, if I wasn't so upset with my sister, I'd say rude. He felt uncomfortable, but decided to put up with it because she was his sister. He also admitted that Jane had confessed to him years ago, but he had rejected her. It felt like everything was falling into place when he told me that. I was so hurt by her that I immediately confronted her when I got home. I thought she'd at least be ashamed, but she said that I stole him from her. What's worse is that my mom sided with her. I've always had a feeling she was my mom's favorite, but she was my favorite too. It made sense that everyone loved Jane. I loved her too, but she betrayed me in the worst way possible. She even said she hated me and didn't want to see me again. No one sided with me, so I packed my things and left. My dad told me that I shouldn't leave because it's not appropriate for an unmarried girl to leave her parents' house. My mom even called me a WHRE for leaving to go to Bob's place. That hurt a lot. It took a long time for me to get over what they did. When I think about it, it still stings. Bob and I lived together before our marriage. I also cut contact with my family, and Bob and I got married without inviting anyone from my side aside from a few close relatives. It was a lovely wedding, by the way, but a week ago, my cousin told me Jane had had her wedding. I guess she went ahead with it. Today, though, Bob showed me a message he got on Instagram from her. He hadn't seen it because it was in the request section, but it dated back to a week ago. She confessed to him again and told him she'd make him happier than me if he gave her the chance. I am upset. Really upset. He screenshotted it, blocked her, and asked if it was okay to send it to Jim. But I said no. I don't know why. Jim deserves better, but I just don't want to deal with her anymore. I can't take it. I feel so guilty for keeping this away from Jim. However, I don't want this to blow up in my face, especially when Bob and I have been living so peacefully now. Edit. Thank you for all the solid advice both on this post and my other post. I think, deep down, I was still attached to the family who raised me, especially my sister. Your comments have given me a reality check. For those asking what I meant by this blowing up in my face, I know my sister. I'm afraid she'll come to my house with my mom and escalate things to the point where a police officer is needed. But I also understand that she'll keep harassing my husband and ruining Jim's life further if we keep quiet. I took your advice and told Bob he could contact Jim if he wanted. He said he'd think about it, so I'm leaving it at that for now. Personally, knowing his personality, he probably already sent it to Jim even after I said no, but I'll wait to see what happens. Thanks again. If anything happens, I'll update. Comments. Release the blanket. NTA. Your biological family is trash. If your sister and your mother show up at your door, and you need the police, take pictures of the police, escorting them away for being the trashy criminal wannabes they are. You can send that picture to other relatives to show them that your sister and mother are behaving like criminals. OP. I'm so sorry. But this made me laugh. You have my vote. Winterfront 14431. Wow, she is desperate. And you can't steal him from her if he doesn't want her. He had years before you to pursue something with her, but he never did. He really should set her straight and then block her. I have had many opportunities to pursue something with you before your name, and I didn't because I wasn't interested then, and I certainly ain't interested now. You are embarrassing yourself, and I quite frankly feel sorry for you that you have lost your baby sister because you thought I was some prize to claim. I've tried to be nice about this, but now you are just being damn disrespectful to me and my wife, so I'll spell it out. I don't want you, never have, never will. If you message me again, I will send everything to Jim. Then block. But I'd send everything to him anyway. This poor guy is a backup, and he doesn't know it. Save him from wasting any more of his time. Munka Police. NTA, and I agree with this. The husband needs to tell her directly that he is not interested, so hopefully Bad Sister's fantasy is finally broken and everyone can move on. I'm so sorry, OP. Judgment. NTA. Update. 3 days later. Hi. I just wanted to make a small update. As I'd thought, Bob sent the message to Jim even when I told him not to. He also screen recorded the message to prove that it came from her account, which I didn't know he did. At least one of us is smart. Anyway, I won't go into too much detail, but Jim didn't reply until last night. He called Bob, and they had a long chat. Apparently, when Jim confronted Jane, she tried to blame Bob for coming on to her. They had a fight, and she left to stay with our parents. I know a lot of you told me to send the screenshot to my parents. I did. I sent it to my dad, not my mom. I'm sorry, but I still can't find the strength to talk to her, and I don't think I ever will. My dad said he and mom would deal with it, and not tell anyone what Jane did. I feel worse now for even thinking he'd side with me. For anyone wondering whether Bob sent Jim the old messages from Jane from years ago, he didn't. He bought a new phone right after we cut contact, so he doesn't have them anymore. I don't know if Jim will divorce or annul Jane, but he told Bob not to contact him anymore, so I think we did our parts already. Thankfully, she hasn't come to my house, but I did take your advice about installing cameras. We'll be doing that next week. Thank you for all the help. You guys were right. Bob is my new family, so I'm not going to think about Jane or my parents anymore. We're having dinner at his parents tonight, so I'm rushing to write this. Thank you again. I hope you all have a good day. Comments. Poopshaboots. You deserve better. I'm glad to hear that you have Bob though. He sounds like a great partner. Razor as it fires. Don't let them silence you and continue to enable their daughter. Make sure everyone knows exactly who and what these people are. You're paying it forward, so no one else is victimized. Successful stomach. Adding to this, your dad just wants to protect his daughter, not you. His other daughter, by telling you not to tell anyone. I would still suggest telling people, because what if they try to change the story now to minimize the damage your sister did to you, or make you look bad in front of mutual family and friends? The whole family could lie and say you knew that your sister had a crush on Bob this whole time since high school, or scrutinize the beginnings of your relationship, to name a few examples of how your reputation could be called into question. If her husband annuls, can you trust that your sister won't lose her SHT and try doing whatever is possible to make you feel or look bad in your relationship? I'm sorry, but your dad's word isn't to be trusted either. OP. I don't trust his words either, but there's nothing more I can do. Genuinely, I'm very tired. I don't really care about my reputation or what my extended family thinks because I don't interact with them anyway. As for Jane, if she tries anything, we'll just get a restraining order. Thank you for your concerns though. You mentioned many valid points. Second story. OP slept with her bully on her wedding day after her fiancé abandoned her. For reference, this happened about 5 years ago. But I was confronted about it recently. I am a very boring person. And this was literally the only dramatic thing that has ever happened to me in my life. 6 years ago, my fiancé proposed to me. I was thrilled. We planned a beautiful, intimate wedding. I've always gotten along with his friends and family. His mother adores me. We've disagreed, but we didn't argue. We found ways to resolve our problems. Inside and out, we were a great couple. I never thought he would literally leave me at the altar. Our families, friends, and even the officiator kept trying to reassure me. But almost 2 hours after the ceremony was supposed to start, I got a call saying he had cold feet and didn't want to get married. He wanted to get more out of life before being tied down. I did some things I'm not proud of. I begged my mom to get me out of the dress, and I tore the stupid thing. I left the wedding after everyone kept looking at me with pitying eyes. I fended off a lot of calls from friends and family, telling them I was fine, and I didn't want to talk. Here's the thing I was called an awe for. I have a frenemy. We've known each other since middle school. He's always been a class clown bully. I was not attractive growing up, and he would jokingly flirt with me and try to annoy me as much as possible. He never really grew out of either of those things, so when he called to check up on me, or really to rub it in my face that I was dating a loser who dumped me on my wedding day, he asked if I wanted to hook up with him. I said yes because my life was ruined anyway. What could be worse? He picked me up, and we slept together. He is the second person I have been with, the first being my fiancé. It wasn't religious. I just saw it as special that we were each other's first and only. My fiancé evidently didn't feel the same. I blocked my fiancé, as did the rest of my family. His mom profusely apologized and said his late father would never have approved of what he did. My now ex-fiancé contacted me recently. He wanted closure, he said. He apologized for ghosting me, but he immediately said that it didn't justify me sleeping with someone else the night of our wedding. I told him it wasn't a healthy thing to do, but I've gotten comments from his friends that I acted badly, and they would have left me too. I don't even know what I did wrong. Ada comments. Rantarian. Well, it wasn't the night of your wedding if you didn't get married. And you certainly weren't a couple anymore. Tell him to get effed and to jam his closure where the sun doesn't shine. NTA. Franifrey. This 100% he wants closure, but then complains about some imaginary slight. Tell him to F off. Judgment. NTA. Update. 1 day later, an ex-fiancé called and apologized. I suspect, but no one may have sent him my post. Nothing stays quiet in a small town. He said he regretted what he said the moment it came out of his mouth, but the damage was done. He apologized again and promised that he would repay his half of the wedding. I'm not holding my breath. There are some things to clarify. What was the actual reason for him getting cold feet? There are 2 major things. First, he found out that his uncle, whom he's very close to, took out a lot of debt in his name. It's fraud, but he didn't want to turn his own uncle into the police. He was afraid that I would resent him for putting me in a bad financial position right off the bat. Second, I didn't want to move to a major city. I am very happy living in our hometown, and I earn a very good living. He wanted to move, and he needed the extra money from a better job in a major city to pay off the debt. He felt stifled. Instead of talking to me, he began thinking of more and more reasons to not get married. But he was paralyzed by choice and ran out the clock. I was humiliated because he couldn't just talk to me like an adult, but instead ran away. He also admitted that he thought we would find our way back to each other. Was Fremy at the wedding? No, it was just close friends and family. But if you live in a town like mine, everyone knew by midday. Are you and Fremy going to ride off into the sunset together? No. I'm not joking when I say he annoys me and just brings up a lot of negative emotions. It's not cutacy or an old married couple bugging each other. He consistently did things that ruined my day. In class, he would riffle through my notes and scatter them, shut my computer off during computer lab, break my things, and constantly taunt me. He would also grab me, kick me, or play wrestle. When we were 14 years old, he broke my arm in an accident. And he wouldn't stop hitting on me. And those things didn't stop when we grew up. It just became a part of my life. I don't know why I did it. Maybe it was self-destructive. Maybe it was because I wanted to know why my fiancé left for this. whatever it was. I know I should stop. He still makes me upset. He'll mess with my stuff when he's over at my apartment. He'll steal my food. He's still very grabby. And he still taunts me. But he's so much nicer when we sleep together. And I want to shake him and ask him why he has to be nice for only a couple hours. If he changed, I would be happy. But then he goes back to taunting me. But then he goes and does something inexplicably sweet. He's a good person, but he's mean. It's very self-destructive. And I know I'm just looking for the scraps of love I can get. And I'm stuck in this spiral. It's a lot looking back at what I've written. But thanks for listening. Comments. Heredia 963. NTA. But your ability to jump from a bad relationship to something worse is impressive. 1 Fat Squirrel. The fear of being alone or of insecurity is a dangerous drug. OP, please examine your self-worth and realize neither of these jabberness deserves a space in your life. Skywolf 1995. Wait. Does that mean you and Frenemy are now frenemies with benefits for the last 5 years? Kush babe. You realize this guy is only so sweet because you're sleeping with him. How degrading it is to yourself. You can find someone who treats you inexplicably sweetly all the time. I get going back to comfort, but at some point, you have to want better and grow for yourself. The fact that he still messes with your stuff like you are kids is embarrassing. 3rd story. OP discovered her husband cheating while he went to see his mother. So she went to his mother's place to confront him. My husband is on a trip with one of our sons and his brother to go visit their mother, my son's grandmother. I was cleaning up the den when an email notification popped up on his iPad. It was an email from an apartment complex saying that they were going to be temporarily closing down the hot water for repairs, sent from one of those automatic senders that you can't reply to. It was addressed to my husband, with his first and last name. The thing is, we own our house. We haven't rented in over 10 years, and even then, it wasn't this place. Where my husband is upstate NY, there isn't any service. I tried to send him a picture of the email, but it wouldn't go through. I called him and spoke to him for a bit. The service was choppy, but I managed to explain to him about the email, and basically all he said was that it must be a mistake, and they had the wrong email. We weren't able to say much before the call just dropped, but if it was the wrong email, how would they have his first and last name all spelled correctly? For context, his first name is somewhat common, but our last name isn't common, especially in this area. There weren't any other emails from this sender, or about this apartment complex in my husband's emails. But he is also the kind who clears out his inbox as he gets messages. I sent a message to the apartment complex, telling them that I think my husband was on their email list by mistake. But I just got an automatic email sent back that they were out of the office until 10:20. And then general rent information pricing 1 bedroom $1,600, 2 bedroom $19, and that there were no open units available. There was no unit number on the email, but the complex is about 15 minutes away from our house. So I went and drove by. Which I guess might be a little crazy, I know. I didn't see anything, not like I knew what to expect. It's a group of buildings. Less than 100 apartments in all. I don't have any reason to mistrust my husband other than this weird email that gives me a strange feeling in the pit of my stomach. As well as a general feeling of paranoia that he's just been bored with me. I've been feeling this way for a little while, but he insists I'm imagining it, and that he's happy I only brought it up to him once, when I was feeling particularly insecure last year. We still do things together. He still tells me he loves me, etc. I just feel like he doesn't have as much fun with me as he used to. And like he looks for reasons to be out of the house, or doing things specifically with the boys, instead of doing things with the whole family. It's not like it's something that bothers me every day. Just something that I think about when I'm feeling insecure or paranoid, like in a situation like this, where he gets an email from random apartment complexes, lol. Anyway, I don't know exactly what advice I'm looking for. I know the advice I would have for one of my friends would be to just talk to him. But I really can't do that until he comes home on Saturday, which is a really long time for me to sit with my intrusive thoughts. He never lived here in the past. He lived with his parents until college, then lived in a dorm, and then every place he rented was with me. We've been dating since we were 19. Edit 2. The email wasn't a phishing scam. It was a legitimate email from the email address on the apartment complex's website. All of the information included in the email letterhead matched the information on the apartment complex's website. And if it was a phishing scam, I assumed they would have been looking for information. This email wasn't looking for anything. It was just an informational email about the water. Update: my best friend called the emergency maintenance number and said that she was a delivery driver who had over $100 worth of food and said my husband's name, but said he had forgotten to fill in his apartment number. The guy didn't speak English very well, But after she repeated herself a few times, he eventually said his name and then gave us an apartment number. Relevant comments. DDog1King304. Call the apartment complex to see if they are shutting down the water to see if it's real. And then do some more digging. OP. I called them and got an answering service. DDog1King304. I know you trust your husband, but don't let that blind trust stop you from seeing if he is in fact hiding something from you. OP. The email was real. It all matches the actual information on the apartment complex website. Decage 55. I realize apartment manager is out until 10:20. But doesn't the voicemail include another number for overnight emergencies? OP. Yes, it gave the private cell phone number for the maintenance person. Decage 55. Call them. Explain you have a delivery for Mr. OP, but the unit number is missing, and you're under a deadline to deliver it as it's perishable. OP. Thank you. This is a good idea, and it worked. The maintenance guy didn't speak English very well, so I think he was somewhat confused, but he eventually gave us an apartment number. Additional comment from OP. He's never lived there before. Again, the email had a good, specific first and last name. He has company finances, he owns his company, which I don't have access to. There were no other emails, but his email had been emptied out a few days ago. Nothing is older than a week. Update 1. Next day. Sorry about the late update. My post was locked by the time I got to it. I'm currently writing this on the ride upstate. Yesterday I posted about an email I had gotten on my husband's email from an apartment complex talking about fixing the water. My husband, who is upstate visiting his mother until Saturday, has next to no cell service, so I haven't been able to talk to him about any of this other than saying that the email must have been a mix-up. My friend called and got his apartment number from the maintenance man. Both of us went over to the apartment, and my friend knocked. A girl answered, but didn't answer the door, just the bell camera. My friend said she was there looking for Adam. The girl said that Adam wasn't there, but wouldn't give her more information than that which I get. My friend was just a total stranger at her door. When we left, I could see her looking out the apartment window at us. I tried to call my husband 1,000 times yesterday, but nothing went through. The few times the call did pick up, the service was so bad you could barely hear anything. So I'm headed upstate to confront him in person. I have a copy of the email, as well as a photo of the apartment, as well as a recording of the girl saying that Adam wasn't there, which is a confirmation to me that she knows him. If this is somehow all a big misunderstanding, I'm going to have my husband explain it to me in person instead of waiting until he comes home. I haven't gotten a chance to read all the comments, but I will go through them now and try to respond to what I can. I haven't slept, so I hope this makes sense. Edit to everyone telling me that I should just wait, not confront him, talk to her first. He's my husband. He's the father of my children. If I'm going to find out that he's cheating on me, it is going to be from him. I'm going to say this for the last time. Please stop advising me not to go talk to my husband about this very serious situation that we are in. I will go talk to a lawyer if need be. However, we have been married for over a decade. We have a family and a life together. I am going to go talk to him. I understand what the situation probably is. I understand that he's probably going to try to lie to me. I'm not a moron. Relevant comments. Corfiz74. Wouldn't it have been better to get her story first and confront him with all the facts? Now he's just going to lie, deflect his arse off, and make you look like the crazy bad guy. He will have come up with a doozy of a story by now. Did you at least use his photo with the maintenance guy so that you have visual confirmation that it's him? OP. How can I get her story? When was she barely willing to say anything to my friend? The reason we didn't push her was because she wasn't giving us any information, and we were worried that she was going to call the police. My friend tried to ask her more questions, but she wasn't giving her any information. Final update. The same day as the first update. I'm writing this from a hotel room. I went to confront my husband. He knew the minute my car pulled up what was going on. He came outside to meet me, and the first thing he said was, "Did you go to the apartment?" And I told him, "Yeah." So then he said, "So I guess we have to have a talk." And again, I said, "Yeah." I'm not going to get into the exact details of it. It was a long talk, and it involved a lot of emotions. She is his girlfriend. They've been together for 4 months. She is under the impression that we are separated and going through the divorce process. His family wasn't aware of this. His brother and mother, who were there, were horrified. I'm sorry, I don't have more to say. I've already contacted a divorce lawyer, a therapist, and a financial advisor. Thanks to everyone for their support. Relevant comments. Married Life 7. I am so sorry. I am guessing the girlfriend messaged him, which is why he knew why you were there. Be sure to log into your bank accounts. And if you feel it is necessary, take a screenshot and withdraw half of it into a new account just under your name. OP. She did not message him. He gets no service up there. He just saw the car pulling up and put 2 and 2 together. Don't give up 86. How did he pay for this for probably well over 4 months without you noticing? OP. His company funds. Munisankat. My dear, that sounds like embezzlement. And that is a whole other can of worms. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.